Yeah, baby. Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Try and get my groove on. Ow! Kick it, baby. Make it smooth here. Yeah. This is a big night, a huge night with many more big nights to come. Our mentor, the official economist of the Exceptional Conservative Show, will be in the hizzy in just a few. Dr. Brooks Robinson, blackeconomics.org director, will be with us tonight. He's going to interview me on economics. Now that doesn't mean that we're going to be left on autopilot, because I'm not as great in any capacity as Dr. Brooks Robinson, but we're going to make some facts, some truths, some revelations abundantly clear for all who tune in. So sit back and relax. Yeah. Ah! Kick it, man! This is SHR night, baby. It's Wednesday night, you know. Lonnie Poindexter will be in the hizzy. And you know we gotta rock it real big time, because the Kraken will be released later on tonight. And Shannon Wright will drop the mic. Oh, this is huge. And at 11 p.m., 11:05 Eastern Time, the greatest comedic group of all time. At least I'm giving that award out tonight. When it comes to conservative talk, none other than Sackhead Sean, Sackhead Clint. Oh man, PZ will be with them. We're talking about Sackhead's Radio tonight. This is a huge night, baby. Stay up in there. Ah! Yeah! Ah! You gotta stop that groove. Oh man, that is a groove. That is a groove right there, and that is Patrick Yondell, Mr. Big Daddy. It fits. It fits, so I don't have to quit. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know what we do at the time. We take off our beloved hats. We take our right hand, we put it over our hearts, and we pledge allegiance to the United States of America. Kids, take it away.
With your heart, shake your carrots, ready, begin. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Woo! There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, Mrs. Biggs is watching via Ustream and live stream as always, and of course, Mary Brockman will be joining us in short order. She's with her grandkid tonight. She is playing basketball, so she will be in a little bit later on. She's my bouncer. Cal Fritzy becomes the official bouncer of the Euro Pacific Bank Limited TECS chat room whenever Mary's not there. Melanie's in the chat room. Dave Milner's up in that hizzy. This is a big night. I love it. Love it indeed. And remember always, for my beloved one, my bouncer, if you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed. Welcome to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the socialists. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let us get the great doctor online with us succinctly. This is a big night for me. I got my test papers here, trying to make certain that I seem okay.
Welcome. This service is provided by freeconferencecall.com.
Yeah.
Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign.
All right, so we will enter. Forgive me, I apologize. It's on the go here. All right, and I know it's loud. And
if you are the host, press star now. Otherwise, please wait. And please enter your PIN followed by the host. Pound or hash.
Press that right there. All right, kind of loud. There we go.
Thank you. There is one other participant in the conference. Please announce yourself.
Dr. Brooks Robinson, this is Ken McClenton. You are live on the Exceptional Conservative Show. We welcome you back.
Thank you so much, Mr. McClenton. How are you this evening?
I am excited as ever. We're always glad to have you on, and quite frankly, doing well. How about you, sir?
I'm doing well, and the world continues to go around and round. That's what economics is all about.
I'm telling you, listen, tonight, I am just honored to have you on here, first and foremost. As everyone knows, that Dr. Brooks Robinson is the official economist of the Exceptional Conservative Show. And now that the election is over, I can focus a little bit more in terms of economics and politics. And so glad he's with us tonight. I couldn't possibly go throughout the course of the rest of this year. He already knows I have a plan of action of getting him on the air with me. Statistically balanced out, isn't it?
Yes. But you know, as we talked about the potential for during this program, we talked about inverting the process a little bit, and as opposed to you asking me questions, we talked about the possibility of me asking some questions of you.
Wow. See, I'm already shaken. I'm frightened by this. There's no capacity in which I am even fundamentally close to your brilliance. So I'll put my dumb hat on and I'll answer your question.
Okay. Well, I think let's get started. Let's get started on this. And I think what you'll find out, and I think what your listeners will find out, is that in fact, it is not rocket science, that if we put our hats on, as you say, and think about things logically, then we can come to some relatively sensible conclusions, which might lead to possibilities of good decision making about what to do in response to situations that we find. And so let's talk about Black America tonight. Is that something that's acceptable?
That's right up the alley. Hey, I appreciate that. Let's go for it.
Okay, so we were talking about a financial remedy for Black Americans to try to get us in a position that is favorable for us. And so the first question I would ask, when you say financial remedy, what do you mean by financial remedy? What are you looking for? Are you talking about more income? Are you talking about more investment, more wealth? What are you talking about?
Well, I'm glad you asked that because I'm looking at the numbers of African Americans who are unemployed, and the unemployment rate for African Americans is like 10% versus 4.7 for Asians, 6.6 for whites, Hispanics, forgive me, and 4% for whites. And I'm looking at the fact that it doesn't appear to be a great move by African Americans to become entrepreneurial. There's always this demand for someone to create a job for me. And so I'm looking at income, I'm looking at investment, entrepreneurialism, being a part of the general capitalist society.
Yeah. Well, that seems logical, and if that's what we're going to do, let's think about how we're going to go about doing that. Let's think about. Let's talk about investment first, because to do anything, you need to do anything, you really need to have some source of income. And so let's start first on the side of jobs.
Okay.
There are two ways. To get jobs, as you said, or at least you hinted in that direction. And one is to work for someone else, and the other is to be entrepreneurial. And so, to get a better job, what is the one thing that one can do to get a better job? Or to get a job? How can you get a job in today's technological economy, a fast-moving economy? How do the Black Americans go out and get a job? What must they do first, most likely, to get a job?
See, I've always been told that you have to have skills before you work for somebody else. And so I was thinking that high school is the place by which you get all the skills you need, vocational as well as academic, to be prepared to work in corporate America.
Okay, so we know, and you know very well, that one of the problems there for Black America, first of all, we don't invest enough in our kids, and we don't program them well enough in their young ages, because really decisions about how one performs in academia is decided early on. You can change the situation, but if a child is not performing well in second and third and fourth grade, then it's a problem. So the first thing we know, if you're talking about becoming better qualified, is that Black schools are not, in many cases, especially in urban areas, the highest quality or the best quality schools. So we got to address that issue. You agree?
Yeah, most certainly. Academics is so important.
All right. So in that respect, we need to work as adults and politically to try to enhance the educational system in our areas of influence. As I say many times, I don't like to use the word community because it implies small and insignificant and inconsequential. But let's talk about our areas of influence. So in our areas of influence, to help us get started in obtaining better jobs, then maybe one of the things we can do is work to improve the schools in our areas of influence so that the children, the youth, are better prepared to go out and get a job. All right, so that's one way. We can improve our educational position. We can go to colleges and universities, become better qualified, and therefore be able to go out and get a better job. The other way is to become an entrepreneur. You mentioned that. So what does one need to become an entrepreneur? How does one get to become an entrepreneur?
Well, I would think capital is what you need, and to actually invest in your idea, and also a sense of commitment to the work at hand, even when you go through the first 2 years of failure.
Yeah. Well, as you know, we prepared at blackeconomics.org.
Yep.
We prepared a piece called 22 Reasons Why Black Businesses Fail.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the key ones is absence of capital or absence of sufficient capital to take one through the trying period of business. But there are so many other factors. So you have to weigh that in as well. There's so many factors why Black businesses fail. And what we know right now is that based on data that was produced by the U.S. Census Bureau for 2012, well, that's already 4 years back, but let's use those data because they're the latest available.
Yeah.
There are about 2.6 million Black firms. There are about 2.6 million Black firms. And only about 100,000 of those firms are large enough to have employees. So we can see that even if Blacks become entrepreneurs, and we're pretty good at doing this, we're becoming better at doing this, Black businesses are growing relatively rapidly, but they're so small. They're so small that only about 100,000 of the 2.6 million Black businesses are large enough to have employees. So is that guaranteeing that we can generate income? What do you think about that situation?
Well, I think it's abysmal that, and we might also discern that the majority of those particular businesses are outside of the areas in which there is a great dominance for wealth. The defense marketplace, technology, science, many of them are in the service sector. And in the service sector, there's a limitation in terms of how much you're going to make based on those people who are around you who support your business. So it's difficult. If we continue along the lines of focusing on creating janitorial jobs, creating although those are good jobs, I'm not disputing that at all. I'm just saying there's a certain height or ceiling towards economic success in those particular areas, and we need to move towards more technologically sensitive companies. I think in that regard, am I on the right track?
You're absolutely on the right track, and it links into the earlier portion of the conversation when we're talking about education. We're talking about producing jobs that are in the technological fields, the defense fields, technology, science, and so on. information technology. Well,
Yeah.
if you don't have the knowledge, you can't get into those fields. So it goes back to education somewhat. So we tied that situation back into to education, and we know that even though black businesses are starting at a relatively rapid rate, they're quite small. They're probably in the wrong sectors for the future, and so we have a problem there as well. So all of these things are hinting at solutions to help improve the financial situation of black Americans, and we have to take each one and begin to work to address it. Now, let's move on a little bit. Let's assume, however, for the moment that we have black businesses that are large enough to hire employees, and they're making a reasonable amount of money. It's one thing to have income, but it's another thing to have wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's also a problem for us. We are lagging behind quite substantially on the wealth front. What is one of the easiest ways to increase one's wealth without having to go out and work and produce it? Of course, you need some income to start, but if you have some income and you can invest, what is one of the easiest ways to invest that money to increase your wealth?
Well, I've known people who put it in their mattresses, but I would recommend highly that you put it in the stock market. You put it in the stock market because there's an annual rate of return of somewhere in the area about 10 to 12% with the stock market versus treasuries, which is like 2 to 5%. So your money does better taking greater risk in the stock market, no matter what your age is.
Yeah. If you can at least put it in for a substantial period of time, there's a strong probability if you invest in the stock market, not necessarily trying to pick, specific stocks always, but using indexes that have a broad measure and capture a broad range of stocks, like the S&P 500 or some of the other indexes, then you are guaranteed to have a reasonable return in the long term. By the way, if you look at the numbers recently, one of the things that we were talking about relative to the election is how the stock market has responded since November 7th.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at the numbers today. I don't know if you looked at the numbers.
Yes.
I looked at the numbers today. And on November 7th, the day before the election, the stock market, the S&P 500 closed at 2131.52.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it closed at yesterday, or today, for that matter?
What? No.
Today it closed at 21. It closed at 21.98. That's a 3.2% return just in
1 month.
What is it? 20 days?
Exactly.
20 days. A 3.2% return. How can you beat that in a sense in terms of adding to your wealth?
But there's some people that would say, well, Ken, that's easy for you to say as you're answering to the professor here, the stock market. But with 94 million Americans out of work, how do we get involved in the stock market? I mean, these people don't get a chance to have 401ks or if they're not having their own corporations, 203Bs, setting up their own retirement program. So, and are we just talking fairy tale here in terms of people being involved in the stock market?
Well, again, before we began the portion of the conversation about investment, we have to make an assumption. We made the assumption that Black Americans had improved the educational situation, and so that we were getting educated and able to have knowledge of the kinds of knowledge that will enable us to get jobs that are existing, and in the second case, create jobs entrepreneurially in the fields that are relevant for the future, for today and the future, to produce high income. So we made that assumption. You're absolutely right. For many people, just investing in the stock market is not a realistic possibility at this time. But we make the assumption. And then, so we go back to the point. How do we get these people into jobs? How do we get the educational system improved? These are two key things, two key factors that need to be addressed. And so let me ask you the question this way. Have you heard of the idea that sometimes we have a phenomenon, we engage in a phenomena of looking for keys under the light post? Do you know that idea, that concept?
Yes. Go ahead. Explain that.
We look for keys under the light post. There's a scenario where there's a car couple. They've been out all night, or they've been out in the evening, and they're walking from the restaurant back to their place of abode, and they recognize all of a sudden that they don't have their keys anymore, and so they're looking around around the light post. There's a street light in the vicinity, and they're looking around that street light for these keys. And so a policeman walks up and he says, "What are you doing?" And they said, "Well, we're looking for our keys." And he said, "But where did you lose your keys?" And they said, "Well, we're not certain." But he says, "Why are you looking around here if you're not certain where you lost your keys?" They said, "Well, because there's light." Now, the point of all of that, we don't know where they lost their keys. Well, in this case, we know where we lost our keys. Okay, we lost our keys in that we don't have the best educational system that will prepare us to, in fact, engage in existing jobs, to capture existing jobs, or to engage in existing jobs. And we don't have the education nor the capital to begin to become more entrepreneurial in the right industries, in the right fields. But, we're looking that we need to do these things, but we're not addressing the issues properly. We're trying to address economic issues with what we think are economic concepts, but it might not be the best situation to do that. What do we mean by that? Well, one of the biggest issues that we need to address is the mental or the psychological aspect of where we are in America.
Yeah.
In my view, there's a psychological issue that needs to be addressed, and that is how we perceive ourselves, how we're motivated, and what we're willing to do to address the issue. You have any comments on the psychological side of things and what we might need to begin to think about and transform our understanding, our mentality, before we can even begin to address the issue? Do you have comments on that?
Yeah, in fact, in the chat roll, Melanie Collette, who is a professor, tuned in tonight, and she says, she spoke earlier about how it appears that you are white if you succeed. There is some idea that if you do well in school, that you acted white, and if you are rich, then you acted white, unless you happen to be a hip hop star, and then it's okay for you to be rich.
There's a real psychological situation that we need to address. And one of the basic fundamental things, we talked about two things here tonight that are key to improving the financial, or creating a financial remedy for Black Americans. And one was education, and you just commented on some, in a sense, a very adverse mentality about education in terms of acting white, the acting white syndrome. We need to address that. We need to think psychologically about the fact that it is just positive to be intelligent and to be educated. We need to address that issue from day one in the children in the Black households. We need to begin to emphasize and stress the importance to have a thirst for knowledge and a thirst for education. So within our areas of influence, we need to develop a new psychology, a new mentality about education. And then on the side of entrepreneurship, a Black person, any person can start a business, can have a great idea, can have great location, can have some capital, maybe a reasonable amount of capital to start a business. But that business is going to fail if that person then doesn't receive the right patronage about the people in the area of influence where that business is located. So we need to change our mentality about supporting Black businesses in our areas of influence so that those businesses can grow and thrive and ultimately create jobs and produce opportunities and then create some income and wealth which can be recirculated in the areas of influence so that everyone can benefit from the process. But it begins with a psychological transformation, and until that mental side of things is addressed, there's going to be a problem.
You speak well, and we're talking tonight with Dr. Brooks Robinson, blackeconomics.org director. You ought to make certain that you star Brooks Robinson, blackeconomics.org in your browser to review all of the publications and literature and statistics that he has at his particular site. It is immense. and well worth reading during the holiday season to get the mindset right for 2017. But there are those people who I speak with, and they say that the best thing that we can do in our culture is create nonprofits. And I don't get it. Am I wrong on this? Why are we so focused on creating nonprofits when we make no profit at all?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, and that was not part of the original mindset that we had as a people. Historically, in the past, in the 19th century and early parts of the 20th century, we have always used quote unquote nonprofit type institutional units to advance our cause, but
Yeah.
we were also very focused on entrepreneurship and nonprofit institutions like churches. They have their place, but we should not overinvest. And I think we are overly invested. Now, here's another thing.
Yeah.
If we had some good statistics, and this is the problem. This is the problem for the United States, period. There's not a lot of good data because of the shield that separates church and state.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of good data about the amount of assets that are held by nonprofit organizations. I think that if Black Americans understood how much of our capital, how much of our income is invested in these so-called nonprofit organizations, which are used to create different kinds of non-financial assets. If we knew how much money was tied up in these assets and we could see that money could be used differently, I think we'd adopt a different attitude. But the fact of the matter is there's not very good data about the amount, the volume of assets that are tied up to nonprofit organizations and institutions that Black Americans have invested in. That money should have been used, I would think, to create jobs and to invest in improving the quality of the schools. And they can be for-profit schools as well as nonprofit schools. But the point is, we need to have better information about the vast volume of the income that has been poured into these nonprofit institutions that are not really producing income or wealth, or much income and wealth for Black Americans.
You're getting a whole lot of amens up in this chat room in terms of that. It's an immense amount of money that goes out of people's pocket on Sunday and then back into banks and corporations on Monday that have no tie whatsoever to the society in which individuals are actually making that investment, if it is an investment at all.
Yeah, I think it's a real issue that needs to be addressed. But what we know is if you look at some of the data about attendance and so on and participation, I mean, we are a very giving people. We do contribute. We do volunteer our times and all of that. But in terms of actually going to churches, if you want to know about churches specifically, we see in certain areas of the country specifically that there's an increasing drop-off in attendance at churches. And actually, if you look at real estate data about nonprofit institutional facilities like churches, you'll find an increasing number of them on the market because attendance at these institutional units is declining somewhat. And it's going to be sad to see more and more of these institutional units closing down because society is changing. People are going to church less in many areas of the country. Some areas, there's still quite high attendance, but in some areas of the country, the attendance is dropping and these churches are closing down. The Catholic Church has had a major problem with this, and other church type organizations are having similar kinds of problems. And it's going to be sad to see all of this income and wealth tied up into these buildings that are not functioning anymore, that are just lying idle, and that are not producing jobs, not producing any income. They're just there, and you can't get your money back out of those institutions quite often when you invest in them.
Wow. We're talking tonight, the great honor of talking with Dr. Brooks Robinson, blackeconomics.org director. He is also the official economist of the Exceptional Conservative Show. He's interviewing me tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm garnering a great deal of expertise and wisdom in terms of being asked these particular questions. But I know for a fact that a lot of you are sitting in there, and I'm listening to you in the chat roll, and you're wondering what exactly does success look like. So, Professor, I think success comes when I can graduate from high school and not be told that by the color of my skin, I'm not going to be successful, and that I can either start my own business or find a good paying job. That's what I think success is. Is that what success should be like, or am I just going along with what I've been told in terms of the great American dream?
Well, I will first of all concur with your conclusion. That is part of what success should look like. But I think in the context of the discussion we've had this evening, you would have to say that it begins much earlier than that. Success really starts from pre-birth with mothers and partners to that mother, husbands preferably to that mother, um, caring about the child that has just been created between the two of them. And then that mother making sure that she eats right and she does the right thing so that that child has the greatest possibility of going to full term and being delivered in a safe and wholesome environment. It goes back to from day one, beginning to put that child in an environment where the child can grow and prosper. It goes back to the point of enabling that child to have a set and to be guided to know that they can achieve whatever they seek to achieve in life if they would just work smart and work hard and work logically, that they can be successful. I think it's planting those seeds early on, and it's helping that child decide as early as possible, not necessarily too early, but as early as possible, what they want to do with their lives. Because the sooner you make that decision, the greater chance you have of focusing on becoming great in the area that you want to work in, the work where you want to dedicate your life, and the greater the probability of success. And I think it entails all of those things. And yes, if the child has received that kind of, been in that kind of environment and has received that kind of direction, when they graduate from high school, they will have all the choices that they need. They will, as you say, get a trade. They will say, go to vocational school. They will say, go to work for someone and not be discriminated against and be prevented. By the way, the black unemployment rate for the 16 to 19 year olds, or I guess it's 19 to 25 years old, is about 26%.
Woo!
Like that. So so that's just horrendous. But the point is, all of these things have to be in place so that the child can go to work, start a business on their own, or go to a college or university and get more education, then go out into the world and work in a world of work in fields that have a future, not just a job just to have a job, but a job that has a future, and or to start a business of their own and make it successful and prosperous. But all of these things have to unfold in that way, and the whole area of influence must be of a mindset that we're going to support each other and make success the norm as opposed to the exception.
Well, is that what you're talking about in terms of socialism? With that, we all work together for the good of the for the good of the collective, for the good of everybody, and forget about this individualism stuff. Because that's group economics, right?
Well, I'm not a strong advocate of socialism. I can't say that I'm an advocate of socialism by any stretch of the imagination. No, but it's logical
Mm-hmm.
because it's not socialism that's important. I think it's important for each individual to be driven to be as successful and to produce as much income and wealth and good in the world. Yes, and it helps to want to work together to make this happen. But individuals are going to have to be driven individually to do this. But it is logical if you live in an area of influence, or an area in which you have control, and you see a business that is trying to get off its feet and to grow and to prosper, It is in your best interest, your individual best interest. If you need a good or service from that business, to benefit that business by going to that business and receiving that good or service, because that business is in your area of influence, and if income is generated there, if wealth is generated there, then you'll get the benefit of it as it's recycled in your community. So then you benefit from the process. It is not about socialism. It's about individuals doing the work. It's about individuals being motivated to advance and to prosper and to grow. But that can only happen when individuals see that it is in their best interest to support these other businesses.
So I shouldn't be driving 75 miles down I-95 to get 10 cents off for an item that I could have done better just getting in my neighborhood. Yeah.
That's correct. By the time you factor in the transportation cost and the time fighting the traffic, you could have popped down to your local entrepreneurial operation and picked up the good or arranged to receive the service. And even if it's marginally higher in price, as I said, you will save in the long run by doing it. And on top of that, the resources that are kept in the community will make not the word community again,
yeah.
but in that area of influence,
yeah,
will make that area of influence even better.
Exactly. Professor, I'm going to work on trying to get you back on the air before the holiday portion of the season, because I don't think people are getting this concept. They say they want this, but based on just the two things that we talked about, STEM entrepreneurialism in the black community or black economy, and education in the black economy, in a district where 9% of the people that go to college that are black graduate in 4 years, we're failing. And I don't think we're getting it in honesty. And there's not people like you out there that people are turning to for honest and truthful analysis of the economy. So can you tell people where they can go to get great publication, great literature on this stuff from you?
Well, again, let me just highlight two things.
Mm-hmm.
You made a very important point. You made a very essential point. People, they're not getting it. When you say getting it, what you're talking about, they are not getting it mentally. They're not getting it in their mind.
Yeah.
And so as we said earlier, let's not look under this light post. Let's not look under this light post because the keys are not there. Let's not talk about jobs and let's not talk about entrepreneurship. Let's start with the mentality. Let's get the mindset correct. And then the other things will follow automatically. If they want to find out about the work that we've done at blackeconomics.org, they can feel free to go to the website, www.blackeconomics.org. It says org, but that's just the domain name that was available when we created the website. It is not about org, I can tell you that.
Professor, we love you. We thank you so much for coming on. We're going to get you back in about 2 weeks so we can talk about getting the mentality right before the holiday season. Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure, Mr. McClenton. Keep doing what you're doing because it is a great service to Black Americans.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Man, that is a great... Woo, I passed the test. Having Walter Williams or Dr. Brooks Robinson interview you, oh, man, y'all don't know how nervous I was tonight. Woo! We will be back with more of the best in urban conservative talk. I want to thank the great people. Yeah, can y'all see the sweat coming off my brow here, man? I'm telling you. Woo! Oh, man. No, it was his great interview, man. He did a great job. Boy. He made me look good. Ladies and gentlemen, we will have the trilogy tonight. Honey, get me a towel. I think I'm sweating all over the place from all those questions. Wow. Woo! Mrs. Biggs, you gotta love her. She looks so beautiful tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, economics is essential. And quite frankly, until our mindsets get right, it doesn't matter who's in office. Republican, Democrat, liberal, or conservative. When your mindset is messed up, you won't succeed. We need to change the mindset in 2017. You all think I've been on a mission. I'm on a greater mission in 2017 than you all ever have known. It is to liberate urban America, and that means to liberate the mindset that repudiates success. When we come back, I want to first thank High Plains Pundit Media and SHR Media for carrying us live. God bless you. We love you. Thank you for doing that. I know by the time we get back, the people from Red Nation Rising will be leaving to listen to another program in the nighttime hour. And God bless you. Have a wonderful time doing so. Whatever program comes after the 2 a.m. On Liberty Channel for Red Nation Rising. By God, enjoy that one as well. And of course, when we come back, we're going to talk with the trilogy, and we're going to alter our commercials because I want to try to get to them in the next hour and talk with them about so much stuff that's going on. And I want to get with Lonnie real quick because I trolled him earlier this week. I trolled him, and I really enjoyed it. So God bless you all. Stay tuned for more of the best in Urban Conservative Talk right here on the ExceptionalConservativeshow.com, and join us in the Euro Pacific Bank Limited TECS chat room. There's some great folk some brilliant folk up in there. If you want to ask some questions, there you go. That's who you want to interview. We'll be right back with more of the best, I assure you.
Lay by your side. I'm feeling the love and I'm feeling the pride that I have for you and all that you do. Your love for me.
Yesterday, you went on the air. We're talking about your fake Pradas, sunglasses.
Yes.
Scary called me in a panic last night. I went on the air, and I called them fake. They're not fake. They're real. We're going to get sued.
Really? They're real?
Yeah, and he gave, what's the name of the company you ordered them from?
I bought it from a company called EZ. That's the letter E, the letter Z, Contacts USA.
So he goes on the air yesterday and says, EZ Contacts, they're a scam. Ignore them.
No research, nothing.
Yeah, didn't look into. I'm like, you're being a little reckless.
Yeah.
You know, even though they, I don't know if those are real Prada glasses or not. But he went on the air and said that anyway.
The opposite of 60 Minutes, Scary Jones.
Yeah. We don't know. We didn't investigate. I'm sure they're a scam.
Well, I got them for $150 lower than you could normally buy them.
Are they a scam?
They're not. I looked into it. I researched it in full. I am holding legit, real Prada sunglasses.
Wow.
So
Really?
I'd like to issue an apology. I just want to say,
Of course, he got a call from the company.
from the owner, yeah.
They had lost orders yesterday because of what Scary said. They should make you pay what they lost yesterday. How much was that total?
Oh, I don't even know. but at the end of the day, it's almost one of those too good to be true things. Yeah, it is true.
So you did your research on this?
I did my research. I did my homework. At the end of the day,
Exactly.
EZ Contacts USA, they actually sell real, legitimate stuff. You have to
At great prices.
At great prices.
Can you imagine last night, I'm getting ready to eat dinner, I get a phone call from Scary. He's like, hey, you called 2 minutes?
Yeah,
I'm
I got
like,
the same call.
I'm like, okay.
Was it 2 minutes? Though?
25 minutes later, I'm like, all right, Scary, that sounds great, man.
They're
Hey,
legit.
yeah, thank you. All right, I'll let you go. I'll talk to you tomorrow. It's unbelievable.
Everything worked out.
All right, thank you, Scary. So Scary,
It could have been last seasons. You know, sometimes they do that. Last absolutely. seasons, whatever. You know?
Scary accused them of the company of being a fraud, and they're not. And that was very reckless of Scary.
It really was.
Yes, Froggy.
Scary's going to turn this around at some point before it's over. He'll go, I was doing them a favor. See, at first I said it wasn't real. Now it is real. More people are going to buy from them.
I did the homework, boss. They're real.
At the end of the day, if you want to
Thank you,
design
Scary.
your eyewear,
Yeah, here we go.
at great
Scary, if you give the name of the company one more time, I swear to God, you're fired.
Are you going to kick me in the
I'm going to kick you in the balls. No, but, you know, I'm glad the owner did hear you. They do listen.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they heard you and they corrected you, because that's very reckless to go on there and say someone's a fraud.
But I'm excited to find out that you can get really cheap sunglasses.
Yeah,
that
no,
look
me
really
too.
nice.
What's that website again?
I don't want you to kick me in the
Okay,
balls.
Scary, one more time.
It's the letter
I mean, if you do it anymore, we're going to have to send them a bill.
The letter E, the letter Z, Contacts USA.
Okay.
.com.
Okay,
It's
thank
like
you.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm an executive chef of Infused Restaurant, and today I'm gonna walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. We're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage, and we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and the Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. Once the fish is ready, then our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused beef burger. When we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're gonna grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat just a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit.
Y'all know what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to do it a little bit later on this week. 6339 Allentown Road. Is it Thursday? Thursday night. And plus Thursday night, I will be alone on New Day Black and Red. What better way to taunt my very good friend, Dave Milner, than to eat an infused burger in front of him? The exceptional one, which is double the bacon, double the burger, any way you like it, medium well. Don't get well done. I recommend it if you're going to eat a burger like that, because you may not eat it all. You may have to take it home. And any type of bun that you like, wheat or white, I believe, and with cheese and all that, you can assort it anyway. But it's huge. It is a huge. Really, the burger is like this, and I'm telling you, I think I ought to do that tomorrow night to him. How many think I should do that in the chat roll? Eat that in front of my very good friend Dave. Ladies and gentlemen,
the best late night conservative talk show in America, TECS Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than TECS Sean and TECS Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late night conservative talk, TECS Radio. The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Welcome to Lion Chasers, where faith and public policy intersect. And now, your lion chaser in the good fight of faith, Lonnie Poindexter, on Urban Family Talk.
We're not saying that there's not instances where there's maybe racial injustice somewhere. This is America, and people are human, and there's sin in the world. He's a president of first. was the first president to say that America is not a Christian nation any longer. But, we'll pray for our enemies while we defeat
Lonnie
them.
Poindexter, hang in there.
You can't blame folks for messing up the city. There has not been an elected Republican in council in Baltimore City among 50 years.
In the co-captain's chair with me today, Reverend Ralph Chittams.
What's happened is the social justice movement has now been hijacked by a godless movement.
Don't be bamboozled. Ladies and gentlemen, Frederick Douglass was a gun-toting conservative. It's not a black or a white issue. It's a God versus anti-God issue. And I know those would say, well, it's all rigged. That's all a game, Lonnie. Because I get that a lot. And they're the crew that has their bags packed at the train station waiting for Jesus to come back. I'll be here in a minute. One train went by, another train. No, that wasn't Jesus. But he's coming. Meanwhile, Rome is burning. The host of the Black Man Thinking radio show. Welcome to the show, Stanley Levy.
Good morning, Lonnie. How are you?
The core issues, the bull elephants aren't in the home. We got to do away with the entitlement programs and the things that hamstring us.
And that's where the conservative viewpoints really resonate for my generation.
I want to welcome to the show the host of the Exceptional Conservative Show, and that's my brother Kenneth McClenton. Welcome, brother.
Lonnie, it's an honor and privilege always to be with your ever-expanding audience.
Let your listeners be lion chasers with Lonnie Poindexter. If Lion Chasers sounds right for your station or network, contact Will Addison by email, waddison@afa.net. Encourage your listeners to be lion chasers with Lonnie Poindexter and Urban Family Talk.
I want to introduce to you one of the most brilliant men in radio, certainly a icon in Christian conservative talk, none other than Lonnie Poindexter. Good evening, sir. It's a great honor and privilege to have you on the air tonight.
Good evening, my brother. How are things out there in the beautiful community of the Exceptional Conservative?
It's absolutely wonderful. We just finished up with a conversation with Dr. Brooks Robinson, blackeconomics.org. Recommend him as a guest. Talking about the mindsets got to get right in order for us to be successful in 2017. I want to thank you for having the Churban network there, which allows thugs like myself to troll your program during the day.
You're welcome anytime to troll the chat room, brother. I glean information from your folks all the time.
Well, actually, I was in there, and Dave and Melanie were about to beat me up. They were not playing. And it was, I wanted to talk with you about what they wanted to beat me up on, and that was the issue regarding a black woman who is a pastor, I believe in a New York church, who believes that there's nothing wrong with being pregnant out of wedlock and preaching the gospel from the pulpit on Sunday morning. And I'm telling you, your chat room just exploded when people started talking about that particular issue. It got crowded up in there all of a sudden. It was like a small church with a whole lot of folk up in it. Your thoughts? Can you
it was really interesting because, folks having different perspectives on the issue, and I covered it in my show the other day as well. And I had to keep reminding those that were listening in, I'm not condemning the woman. I'm not condemning the woman. Repeat, I am not condemning the woman, but we are supposed to judge rightly. And my opinion was it sets a mixed message. And then given the horrible, deplorable statistics in the black community as it relates to single parenthood, that it just sends forth the wrong signal. I again had to state, I'm not condemning the woman. She was conciliatory. She was remorseful for the choices that she made, but yet she still did not want to step down, and that's the problem that I had.
Yeah. Now, let me play devil's advocate because I do it so well. Which makes you wonder how I ended up with someone like Mrs. Biggs. But pray for me, y'all. But in a sense, what's wrong with a woman being pregnant? I mean, it's nothing wrong with her being pregnant and preaching the good news. You know what I'm saying? nothing wrong with pregnancy. That's what we want. We want women to be pregnant and not having abortions, right?
We certainly do. I mean, I'm glad she didn't make the fateful decision in the choice that she made. She made a good choice because, as I understand it, she's carrying twins. I mean, praise God that she didn't step into the horror chambers of a quote-unquote Planned Parenthood clinic for health care. But again, it sets forth, if you know these statistics, and I'll share them with your listeners who may or may not be aware of it. In the Black community across America, 70+% of the households are single parent, typically female head of household. In Southeast DC, which is a bastion of the Black community here in Washington, D.C., and you know this well, that number is up over 89%. It might be 90% because the stats that I have are about 2 years old.
Yeah.
So you've got either 90% or nearly 90% of the households in Southeast Washington, D.C., just across the river from the White House, are single parent, typically female head of household. That's systemic breakdown in the family.
You're absolutely right. And one of the things I was questioning in the chat roll, and we love the fact that Lonnie Poindexter is with us tonight. You will hear him not only in the Churban network, but also in terms of Lion Chaser Radio on AFA, American Family Association Radio, Urban Family Talk. He just does a tremendous job, and he's heard from coast to coast, from Long Island to Idaho. Just a tremendous voice in terms of Christianity and conservatism. But there are some people who are sitting back and saying, wait a minute, she's just a part of the, she's a part of the culture, and there are Black women having babies out of wedlock. She can connect with them. It's kind of like someone who has cancer can better pray for somebody who's got cancer, just like a preacher would probably be better able to deal with out of wedlock births if she had an out of wedlock birth. You know what I'm saying? That's the way it's supposed to work.
That's the mindset that goes forth today, and as part of that, it's the logical fallout from the don't judge crowd.
Yeah.
And so, let's connect the dots here. And I know you know this well, this mythology, what happens. If you got 70+% of Black households with single parent, you have a generation or more of children who do not have paternal influence in their lives. What you end up with is young Black males rolling around in Black communities today like packs of wolves. The other name for them are gangs, because there's no paternal influence. And, nobody wants to call the duck a duck. So here you are, a pastor of the gospel. We know what Timothy says about being above reproach if you're going to step into the role of being pastor. I'm going to have a whole show where I talk about women in the pulpit to begin with. I know that's going to get all kind of...
Woo!
But here's a woman, and here's what I pointed out on my show the other day. I said, I'm not throwing rocks at the woman. I don't condemn her. I don't condemn her at all. But you must judge rightly. I said, if you want to know where I put the lion's share of the blame at, the man who impregnated her, I guess it's her fiance. So do you love that woman that you say you profess love? Do you love her enough to respect her? And do you further love her even more so that even when she can't respect herself because she succumbs to the temptation of sexual intimacy before marriage, do you love her enough to stand in the gap and intercede for her? Say, hey, I love you enough to say, no, we can't do this. And I'm not known for quoting Beyonce, but her song a few years back put a ring on it.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Wait a minute. Now, are you trying to say that she weak and she need a man? Is that what you're trying to say? Listen, Lonnie, I've been in trouble with women all this week. I'm going for it tonight.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all, because I know that they'll be looking at me side-eye as well this week.
Because it's that you can do bad by yourself ministry, right? Aren't we supposed to have that ministry? You can do bad by yourself. You don't need no man. Shoot, all he got to do is get you pregnant and then pay child support. You don't need him for nothing else.
Except for when little Jaquan wants to start breaking into cars when he's 14, 15 years old, and that testosterone she can no longer whip him hard enough to make him stop. She'll be looking for a Kareem to come around there and do something. We need to do something with this boy.
It's the black man that wasn't there to be the father. That's why he the condition he in today. But that's been preached in our churches since about 1972 with Roe v. Wade, and then the homosexual agenda took over in 1976. And so why are we so concerned now that you have gay preachers in the pulpit? You have preachers that are actually having sex with 14 and 15-year-old boys and marrying them in the church. What's so wrong with having a black woman have twins out of wedlock on Sunday morning preaching the gospel until she gets weak enough where she can't stand? I don't understand that part. But what's wrong with that?
Well, you and I both know it's out of order.
Mm-hmm.
Out of order, and it's a logical fallout when you profess to know more than God. And it's all part of this whole warm and fuzzy false doctrine of inclusion. You know, I love you, you love me. It's all warm and fuzzy on the outside, but on the inside, it's a festering mess of canker sores and whatever else. And we're seeing it now with this that's playing out today. You know, I was just thinking, as we were talking about in trouble, just understand what the point we're trying to make. You know, when you think about Orthodoxy, and you think about the Catholic Church, Eastern Orthodox, and some of the ancient denominations, there's a reason why. In the Catholic Church, not today, but if you go to some of the churches that still practice the Latin Mass, women still wear coverings over their head. It's symbolic that a woman is covered from the time she leaves her mother's womb, and her father is her protector, and he's her spiritual father, literally and figuratively, and he's her covering until she leaves that household.
See, but Lonnie,
and becomes the wife to a man, and the two become one.
Lonnie,
that's
that sexist stuff. See, you are sexist. You don't believe that women can stand on their own accord and on their own 2 feet, and they don't need no man to see. You sexist.
Hey, you know me. Let the rocks fly.
Let the rocks fly.
Let the rocks fly. The reality is, a woman needs a man, and man needs a woman. I was taught many years ago by one of my spiritual fathers, Bishop Randy Adler, who is retired now, who said this. He says, male and female each have a root weakness, and it's placed there by God. A woman's root weakness is, starting from the Garden of Eden, is she's easily deceived. Hence Eve and the serpent, and you know how that story went. A man's root weakness is temptation. Temptation by a woman. Hence the Garden of Eden, and Eve seducing Adam into eating of the fruit. You take the two of those and you put those two root weaknesses together from those two individuals, and you create and I'll use an Eastern term, yin and yang, of them having to be yoked together. But the only glue that makes that work in a way that you equate what I call that 3-in-1 principle is God is in the center of it.
Yeah.
A woman needs a man. I don't care what anyone will say out there. Now, there are some women out there called to be single, just like there's some men called to be single. But they're few and far between. God's natural order of things. A woman needs the covering of a man for protection, and he needs to be the backbone. And let's get into this. If we really just want to take people off, Big Mama syndrome is a myth. It exists in the black community. It's part and parcel of the problem we're having in the community today.
You're exactly
right. The man has the larger muscle mass, bigger bone structure, and literally is the protector. When he's removed from the home, you end up what I call that bull elephant syndrome, or lack thereof. Where all hell breaks loose in the jungle because the bull elephants aren't there to protect the herd. And that's what we have in this woman in the pulpit. She needs to be either sat down by the leadership in the church, or she needs to sit down herself. She can be way more effective in teaching young women in that church of what not to do based on choices that she made, rather than saying, God's got me, and I'm not going to be a victim, and I'm not going to let folks. And I was reading some of the commentary, and she completely misses it, this whole don't judge crap.
You know,
I'm sorry, that worked out.
Yeah, Lonnie, You on fire, brother. I can't wait for the show. And I'm quite certain all the women in this chat room can't wait for the show either.
I want you to know that Friday is a hot one. You come on at noon. Well, Friday I'm starting a series called Man School.
Oh.
And Man School is going to start with this topic and then go into other areas. And we're really going to be, you talking about getting hot up in there, and I got to give Pastor Donovan Larkin's credit. It's something he and I brainstormed on. And I have a special guest coming on Friday at 11 o'clock hour, and then you come on at noon. So we're going to 1-2 punch it.
Oh, my God. Melanie, I already apologize. I'm just letting you know, Melanie, right off the bat, I'm apologizing right now. Oh, my God. Lonnie Poindexter with us tonight. And just one other question, because in all seriousness, we only got about 4 more minutes, and I want to talk with you about this. And when I was trolling in there, I was being prolifically a jokester, but in all sincerity, in terms of the question, your heart is not against the woman, and your heart is not against the man, and your heart is not against the child. It is the act of arrogance and idolatry and having a child out of wedlock, because God had ordained family to be between a husband and a wife. That is an office in God's kingdom. Husband and wife, mother and father. Those are offices. And if you cannot honor those offices, how can you honor the office of being a pastor? A pastor doesn't have to be perfect, but he should be seeking a perfecter. And thus, when temptation comes, you seek to find a way to avoid it, run from it, flee it, as Joseph did, even at the risk of being put in prison. Now, for the sake of this particular woman, you would think that she was mature enough, and this is basically what you were saying the other day, and I'm just paraphrasing and summarizing, and you can clarify. Based on this woman, she should be mature enough in her own walk with Christ to discern that what she has done is outside of the will of God, and thus, in order to fulfill her office, she should step down and be removed for a time, and then return to it. If Nebuchadnezzar could be out of office as a king for 7 years and be returned to it, it's not an ordained thing that you must be this at all times. There are times where you need to sit down and shut up and listen. And she's not mature enough to do that. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. And I'm saying the man that's in her life does not have place in her life because he's not married to her to speak into her heart and say, honey, here's the proper thing to do. See, the cart's before the horse.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you an example, because just so the women on your show could, listening in, could understand, we're not beating up on women. General Petraeus is in the final hunt to become a Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Because of the impropriety with him getting twisted up with a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And, it goes all the way back to what, as far back as Adam and Eve and Samson and Delilah and Bathsheba and David. And he got into a trick situation, for lack of a better term, with a woman and gave us information that cost him his job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? He had to step down, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
He had to step down from the position that he has. Okay, here we go today. He's in the final hunt with Secretary of State. If he ends up, they end up positioning him, do you think he's going to vet?
Yeah, he will. He will, because he's been redeemed. Everything's in the past. He just sat down out of the CIA. He took responsibility for his action. He's a teacher now on campus in New York City. So as a professor, he took the pain. He took the shot. He sat down. He was mature enough to understand that as far back as 1789, George Washington did not want his military parading around as adulterers. It didn't matter if they were Christian or not. And that you have to be faithful to your cause and to your duty. And when you're not, sit down. Don't worry about it. God will lift you back up.
There it is. In due season.
In due
season. And that's exactly
season.
the point. So for you to stand there, and so this goes out, because the women are going with throw rocks and say, well, it's a double standard. I saw that in the chat room. I'm not going to say who said that. I'm not going to mention her initials. I'm not going to men obviously don't show their indiscretions because they don't get pregnant, he should sit down as well. There's no such having a pastor that's philandering with members of the congregation, and he's married or he's not married, and he's engaging with women in the congregation. He should be sat down. We either have a standard or we don't have a standard. We know not having a standard what it does to our community, hence the implosion within our inner cities across America. At some point, we've got to stand up and say that, he walks and talks like a duck. Let's call it what it is.
So you're talking about, oh man, I've gone over the time period. This is hot. This is a hot issue, but you hit on the very key point at the very end. It's standards. And if we don't have them, then what's the need for anything that we do that's called worship? It's not important. Everything goes, and when everything goes, nothing's needed. And when someone can look at you from the pulpit and tell you that I don't need salvation, you do. Wow. I don't know if you're in the right church. Lonnie, tell them how they can listen to your program tomorrow morning at 11 a.m.
They can catch me at 11 a.m. Eastern Time Zone at urbanfamilytalk.com. That's urbanfamilytalk.com. And we're a national radio show. It's a 2-hour broadcast. And on Fridays, we have the exceptional one joins me at noontime. It's a wonderful show, and we can be caught across the great nation, either in the traditional radio format over radio towers or via the internet. You can download an app that you can listen to us as well. Hey, let me just mention a quick shout out here. Bishop Wellington Boone has just released a new book called Black Self-Genocide, What Black Lives Matter Won't Say. And he touches on these topics. It's time for us as a church in general to stand up and speak truth, but in particular as it relates to those of us with the darker paint job, as I stated earlier, to call the duck a duck if it's walking and quacking like one.
There you go. We want equality before God. It starts with standards. Thank you so much, sir. We look forward to you coming back next week, man.
All right, brother. God bless.
God bless. Lonnie Poindexter, I'm already in trouble. I already know it. You women need to get your acts together. That's your problem. You need to get your act together. You know what I'm saying? We'll be right back. I think I may be right back right after these messages with the Kraken himself.
Now, Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. We know how much you love to shoot, so our Gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. We also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
From the war front to the streets of our nation's capital, men of faith, Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor, and Kenneth McClenton, the exceptional conservative, bring both constitutional gravitas and spiritual perspective on today's issues to the most influential Christian urban talk show, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, Thursdays. It's a new day on New Day, Black and Red. Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Is your PC causing major headaches? Now there's an easy way to make your computer run like new again. Introducing System Mechanic, America's #1 PC performance software. System Mechanic scans your entire PC for over 200 different types of errors. It then automatically fixes even the most stubborn and frustrating PC problems, restoring full speed and stability in minutes. Visit runlikenew.com to try it free.
Aloha, I'm here at the Hawaii Coffee Company at the Lion Cafe. Let's go get some brew and get educated. All right, we're here at the Hawaii Coffee Company Museum, and I got Sam here. Tell us about Lion Coffee and how did it get into Hawaii?
Well, the Lion Coffee founder, Jim Delano, before Lion Coffee in Hawaii existed, bought the old Hawaiian Electric building downtown.
Uh-huh.
And his idea was to build a cafe kind of like on a bohemian model to invite artists and musicians and have this really cool place to hang out and drink coffee. But once he refurbished the building, he didn't have any coffee, and he had to find out where he was going to get the coffee from. He discovered this trademark, Lion Coffee, established in 1864.
Wow.
And we're standing right in front of a case of all this old paraphernalia. This is how he discovered the brand, and he was intrigued by it.
Good evening, Ralph.
He
Hang
did
in
some
there.
research and tried to contact the company, see if he could buy some coffee.
Good
but
evening. Hang in
Lion
there,
Coffee
man.
was
Be
no
right with
longer
you.
roasting.
Uh-huh.
And so he found the descendants from the owner of Lion Coffee and managed to buy the trademark. And so basically, Lion awoke in Hawaii, and
Yes.
we started roasting here.
Wow, that sounds like you guys had the concept and the idea before Starbucks.
Yeah, that's right. The only thing is we didn't go international, but we do sell internationally, and our focus on our business in Hawaii is the most popular coffee in Hawaii.
Of course. Mahalo, Sam. Go to HawaiiCoffeeCompany.com and get more cool information about Lion Coffee Roasters and Hawaii Coffee Company, where we're filming this video. They have a great free tour of the roasting facility, and you can check out all their highly sought-after coffees.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank the person who went to my website over the Thanksgiving holidays and ordered the Hawaiian coffee. I really appreciate that, and I've been told by that person that they're going to follow up with me and let me know how the coffee tastes and everything, and then I'll tell you all. But I suspect that it's just as good. And if you have an opportunity, go to the front page of the ExceptionalConservative.com and order your Hawaiian coffee. It is not free, but it is good. Ladies and gentlemen, none other than the Kraken himself. Get the kids out of the way. Move the women back, men. You're going to have to defend them. It is the Kraken, Ralph J. Chittams Sr. Good evening, sir. How you doing?
Well, good evening to you, Mr. Exceptional, and all your listeners. How's everyone this evening?
We're doing extremely well here on Sackheads Radio Night. Was I out of place, sir? Am I seen as a sexist man because I believe that a woman needs to step behind a man? Is that it? See, now, the Kraken gets quiet on me. Okay? Oh, man.
When a statement like that is made, people don't understand that you are being intentionally provocative because you also live by the scriptural mandate that a man elevates his wife and that he honors his wife as unto a lesser vessel.
See?
So when you say things in that context, people don't understand that there's a broader context in which we're speaking, in which you are honoring, elevating, and treating your wife like a queen, which is your responsibility as a Christian man.
See? Thank you. Thank you. That's why he's in the chat role at the Euro Pacific Bank Limited TECS chat room at Broadcasting Central. See? And that way you can take it to him. I'm just agreeing with what Ralph said. See? How's it going, Ralph?
Everything's going well. Got no complaints over here living in Sodom and Gomorrah.
Living well. Listen, so much is going on. First and foremost, I didn't even get a chance to talk with Lonnie because we got caught up on the issue regarding the pregnant woman with twins who's preaching the gospel from the pulpit. But Nick Cannon came out earlier this last week, and he made a statement about Planned Parenthood that it's genocide, and Hollywood has turned on him like a light flame to kerosene, and they're fired up about Nick Cannon. Did you see that remark and your thoughts?
Oh, I absolutely saw it. Nick Cannon is absolutely 100% right, and this instance is absolute proof that a broken clock can be correct twice a day.
See? We're not asking him to be the advocate for the pro-life movement, but even if you're a liberal, you have to understand that this is murder. Am I right on?
No, And here's why I can say you don't have to.
Ah.
I'm a member of a ministers' conference here in Washington, D.C. And on Monday, I stood before that conference of more than 100 preachers and announced a prayer vigil outside of the Planned Parenthood mortuary here in Washington, D.C. in a black neighborhood, and asked these preachers if giving them an opportunity to come join me in the prayer vigil and hopefully bring their congregants with them to pray for life, to pray for this country, and to pray for the women who go in to Planned Parenthood. Do you know what the first question I got was after I made that announcement?
What was it?
The first question one of these raghead preachers asked me was, "Are you a Republican?"
Wow.
They didn't care about the black babies being murdered. They didn't care about the genocide. They didn't care about anything. The only thing, the first thing this fool asked me was, "Are you a Republican?"
Woo!
And if you want to know what's wrong with the black community and what's wrong with America in general, you could start with America's churches, because the leaders of the churches have forgotten what it means to be godly leaders.
So, literally, as a parallel to the, it's not even a parallel, it's a causation of black ministers acting foolishly and looking more like Medina than men. You have now black preachers who are women who say, what's the difference? You can either abort the baby or you can have the baby out of wedlock. The role of a pastor doesn't even matter anymore. It's not sacred. Am I right?
No, it's not sacred. And truthfully, it's the fault of the men. Because the men who have been called to pastor in our communities for the past 100, 200 years, they've been too busy bastardizing the calling of being a minister that now it doesn't mean anything. So now, yeah, you can have a homosexual marry another homosexual, and now you have a pastor and a first man. And now you can have, preachers with 3 or 4 different babies by 3 or 4 different women in their congregation, and everybody in the church knows about it, but pastor can preach. Well, it's no wonder that this country has gone to hell in a handbasket.
Exactly. And now you have a situation where we have moved from being the Church of Christ to being the black church to being the Black Lives Matters church. And that's all that matters anymore.
It's even worse now. We're the church of what's happening now. Whatever feels good to the community, that's what's happening now. That's what the church does.
Melanie in the chat room.
Choir directors twerking as they
Oh my!
choir.
Yes! You saw the video too! Oh my God! Oh my God! Women who are wearing scantily clad outfits doing liturgical dance on Sunday morning, and guys are running from the back of the church to the front to take a look. I tell you, it is Sodom and Gomorrah in the church today.
Right. You go into any church that's close to being considered a quote mega church, and I guarantee you half the music ministry is full of homosexuals.
There you go.
Including the leadership. So what do you expect?
So when Lonnie was talking about the leadership in the church should do something, the leadership in the church doesn't want to do anything because it fits their lifestyle. You ain't got to change. You can be the same.
I put in the chat room, if you go to a church for any length of time, if you want to know what sin your pastor is committing, pay attention to what he doesn't preach about.
Bingo.
If you've been in the church for any length of time, he said nothing about homosexuality, watch out. If he doesn't preach about fornication, he's getting it from somebody. If you want to know what your preacher is doing, pay attention to what he does not preach about.
Wow, we are talking with the Kraken tonight, and this chat room is exploding tonight. It is bigger than it's ever been. On the night that we had Dr. Brooks Robinson here talking about getting the mindset right, we're talking about the mindsets of the church and how really you have a bunch of heathens who have wrestled the church, and it's no longer a church, it's more like a government function where people are endorsing abortion, endorsing babies out of wedlock, giving condoms at the back door, naked liturgical dancing. I mean, Heck, you ain't gotta go to guys. I'm telling you, you ain't gotta go to the nightclubs anymore and let someone bounce up on a pole or whatever and pay money to enter. Just go to church.
Honestly, for some churches, that's all you have to do. No. The church just needs. Okay, I'm sorry if anybody gets offended by this, but the church needs an enema.
Bingo. See, but when you say that, you get kicked out of churches, and I got medals of honor for being kicked out of churches for saying that. Wow.
So when I come back on your show next week, I'll tell you how many of those preachers that I put this in front of showed up on this Saturday to attend that prayer vigil to pray for this country, to pray for the women who are seeking out abortions, and to pray that abortions be completely eradicated in this country.
Now, where is this prayer vigil taking place? And can we get information that we can tell everybody about tomorrow so that people in Washington, D.C. who is listening, they can make it to there on Saturday?
Sure. The address is 1225 4th Street in Northeast Washington, D.C. What I'll do is I will send you I'll put a link to the event, to the Facebook event, here in the chat room, and so that way everybody can have it. And anybody who believes like we believe,
Yeah.
that God said, "I knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb." God said, "I know the plans that I have for you." That you will prosper. If the body of Christ believes all those things that we say we believe, then we should be able to show up on a Saturday for 2 hours from 12 to 2 and pray for life.
There you go. From 12 to 2 p.m. You ain't asking for people to lay out prostrate from 6 in the morning to 6 at night. That's not what's being asked. Prayer for a short time period. And how many pastors will show up in Washington, D.C.? This is how you know that you are in the most abysmal city in the world, when you have to beg preachers to do what God told them to do, and Isaiah, you tell them, my God, I forgot the chapter in the verse, but the bottom line is that you choose life, and the statement was given to Moses' replacement. Someone tell me who Moses' replacement was.
But now, like this is the kind of stuff that really gets me hot. When as an ordained minister in dealing with other clergy, that when it comes to issues where the church should be, the tip of the spear, it should be the moral tip of the spear, these Negroes run and hide because they're worried about, their Democrat friends in Congress or in the legislature or in the council, taking away their 501c3 money for their daycare center. And so they're putting their trust in men rather than putting their trust in God. And if that's what they're doing, then what kind of preacher are they?
Well, if they show up on Saturday, they may not get a low number tag in January.
Well, you're right. They may not get a low, and if they don't show up, they may get a low number tag in January. But when they stand before God, they're going to get a first-class ticket to hell.
Bingo! There you go. Well said. Well said. It's the men who are fired up. Oh, I'm loving this. Men who are fired up for the Lord. Oh my God! Glory be to God. Welcome to the Exceptional Conservative Show. We're talking tonight with the Kraken, and he is on fire tonight. Lonnie's on fire tonight. Lonnie's in there. Moses' replacement was Cleophas, I believe, or maybe Kareem. Joshua is the answer. Thank you very much. It's Joshua.
I didn't know Moses played for the Lakers.
Yes, he did. Power forward. I want to ask you because there is a congressman from South Carolina, Mr. Claiborne, who is having his chair removed from him in 2017. And apparently his chair is being removed from him because Hillary Rodham Clinton didn't win the election, and she didn't win the election because she didn't get more than 88% of the black vote. So because he did not deliver, he loses his seat. Now, I want to ask you something. How do you take that as a political aficionado? How do you see that happening in the Democrat Party?
Well, Nancy Pelosi basically told Clyburn and the rest of the Congressional Black Caucus is, we don't care about you, Edwards. Go pick some cotton. That's the message.
That's the message.
We don't care about you. We don't need you. Get out of our face. Go pick some cotton. Go make us some coffee. Go dance and sing us a jig. We don't care what you do, but we have nothing here for you. Go away.
Wow. Now, there are some people who minority, and they refer to them as minorities in the papers now as Democrats, who are fired up about her doing this to Clyburn, and says that seat should always be there as a affirmative action seat, that a black person should always be in that position. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, what else is the CBC going to do? The CBC has been completely irrelevant to the black community since forever. The only thing they care about is themselves, keeping their positions of power. It never trickles down to their community because that's not how they think.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, of course they want a set-aside seat for Clyburn. And when he retires, they want to slide, one of the other 45 members, into that seat. But here's the kicker, though. They had this, this supposedly secret ballot from the House. And 63 members of the House voted against Nancy Pelosi regaining her speakership. Now, here's the funny part. There are 45 members of the CBC. I wonder if all 45 of them were counted in that 63 who opposed Pelosi. And I guarantee you, most of them voted for Pelosi.
They probably did. I only saw one black woman, Congresswoman, come out along with Tim Ryan today in support of their caucus to overthrow Nancy Pelosi. And Tim Ryan was asked this question: will you all face consequences for coming out against Nancy Pelosi? And his remark was, we support Nancy Pelosi. We do not believe that's going to happen to anyone in our caucus. You, sir, who have been in Washington, D.C. for a long time, is that the truth?
They're at the store right now buying blackface.
Look out, baby.
Of course he's going to be paid back. Pelosi is one, I don't want to sound like Trump, but that is one nasty woman.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sweet old lady, but she's nasty.
And she's going to get her pound of flesh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, for all of you CBCers who thought that this was your moment, moment time is really on its way in January when you don't have those privileged parking spaces on Capitol Hill, or you don't have the access to the office that you used to have. You get moved out by somebody else. It's going to happen, baby. Payback is a real itch on Capitol Hill. Want to come?
Here's something.
Yeah.
Here's something that we as conservatives, we also need to be kind of quiet about this.
Mm-hmm.
Because truthfully, what the elites in the Democrat Party are doing, they're committing suicide.
Mm-hmm.
They are regurgitating Nancy Pelosi back into her leadership position. They're going to put an Islamist at the head of the DNC. And what they're going to wind up doing is they're going to continue to alienate what they derisively call flyover America. And Donald Trump is already showing that he's willing to get his
barrier negotiations, and if he is able to pull off just 25% of his domestic agenda by the midterm elections, you may not see another Republican in the White House for 16 to 20 years.
A Democrat. You won't see another Democrat. Yeah.
Not see another Democrat
Exactly.
in the White House for another 20 years. If he only gets 25% done by 2018, that midterm election is going to be a wipeout for Democrats. And then either he's going to win re-election in 20 or he's going to step out and let Pence take it for the next 8 years. But let the Democrats keep putting Pelosi and the Islamists, what's his name?
Keith Ellison. Keith Ellison. The first...
these people in positions of power that don't give a hoot and a holler about Americans, and Republicans are going to be running this country for the next 20 years.
I finally want to ask you real quick about Fidel Castro, because Channel 4 News put out this glowing story about how great Fidel Castro was for Cuba. Your commentary, sir, and especially about Channel 4 News and others in the city who are trying to put together this image of Fidel Castro.
Well, clearly Castro wasn't great for Cuba.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, we can sit here and we can wax philosophical about Castro and other issues, about him being against apartheid and being a friend of Mandela and other things. We can sit here, and I'm willing to engage in an intellectual conversation that deals with the complexity of a Fidel Castro. But no one can say that he was a great leader for Cuba.
Amen.
Because if he was such a great leader for Cuba, explain to me why people drown every year trying to get the hell off that island.
The Kraken, we got to put it back in. God bless you, sir. I will make my way there on Saturday for the prayer. And I pray that other ministers around the country will also join us at the prayer and stay in the chat roll for SHR night. Ralph, the Kraken, will put that information in there once more so that we can spread it around. But it is December the 3rd, 12 noon. And the address for that event is 1245 4th Street, Northeast. Make your way there on Saturday. God bless you, sir. Thank you so much for being on tonight.
God bless you.
All right. Ralph Chittams Sr. Listen, we're going to go to a non-commercial hour right after this break, and we will have none other than Shannon Wright with us. She will drop the mic. Peace.
Make
Hi everybody, it's Kristen. I'm here to review women's spirits made by dogs. I love these shoes. I am an FM sufferer, so finding shoes that don't make my feet hurt is very tough. These don't make my feet hurt. I've tried Pumas, I've tried Nikes. Nikes are pretty good. Pumas I can't wear. They hurt my feet too much. I mean, it's to the point to where my feet hurt so bad to where I can't even walk. So I was so happy whenever I was contacted to review the new dogs. I love these dogs. I love these things. My feet don't hurt when I wear them. They got the holes in them to keep my feet cool. They got massaging bumpies inside. Feels like you're walking on little things of foam. I mean, like, it's just awesome. I just love it. The heel is a deep well down in your heel, and it protects. It's a shock absorber. So if you're running in them or jumping in them, like if you're on a trail and you have to jump in them, It absorbs the shock.
Good evening.
Good evening.
What
Thank you. Hang
else?
in there for a few moments.
And then it's a higher thing back here for your heel. So it's like a really high thing that protects your ankle from when you're running, so there's no injuries, so it doesn't cause injuries. It's Velcro, so it's very easy to tighten your shoe, so whenever you're running, your shoe won't fall off when you're trying to run. I love these shoes, and I hope you guys really appreciate this review, and there will be pictures at the end, like always. But I wish you would guys go check them out. These women's spirits are $40. There's a whole bunch of other kind of shoes that you can purchase as well. There are children's shoes, toddler shoes, infant shoes, men's shoes, women's shoes. Anything you can think of, they got it. And they're pretty cool. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you next time. Bye.
The best late night conservative talk show in America, TECS Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late night conservative talk, TECS Radio. The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Ladies and gentlemen, live from Charm City, it is none other than the beautiful and brilliant Shannon Wright, dropping the mic. Good evening, young lady. You like the music there? I had that arranged just for you.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It's because I treat women so well. I am an advocate for women. Yeah, and everyone in the chat room can tell you that I am a great advocate for women. Even if you were listening tonight and had other ideas, I am a great advocate for women's sisters.
Oh, okay. All right. If you want to go there like that, sure.
Shannon Wright, this is huge. First and foremost, you did a wonderful job running for office earlier this year, and received the most votes of any Republican in 4 or 5 decades. Congratulations to you, but you have a bigger fight coming up, and I want you to tell everybody about it.
Well, I will, but in 1 second. See, this is the part where you get in trouble. Because I actually listen to your show, even when I'm not on it. So I have one question for you.
Oh my God, no!
I need you to teach me how you're going to fulfill this trick. How is it going to be in D.C. while you're at the Maryland State Convention on Saturday?
Oh my goodness, what time is the Maryland State Convention?
From 9 to 4.
Oh, wow. I can do all things. I'll be there
no,
now.
You can't.
I'll
that one.
watch. See, because I'm a man, I can do it.
So, in other words, expect not to see you.
Oh! Oh! Oh!
All of your listeners. What Ken was alluding to was that I've been asked to run for Maryland GOP 3rd Vice Chair, and our state convention is this weekend. and I asked Ken to be present at that convention to help me with the campaign. And he, of course, agreed. So I am now asking, how, pray tell, what is the trick? And please teach me so that I can understand how to be in two places in two different states at the same time.
It's amazing. I've done it before. I will be at your place at 9, and then I will drive about 10:30 down to the 12 o'clock prayer. And then at about 1:30, I will leave. About 1 o'clock, I'll have to leave and go to another event on that day. So I am going to make my rounds. And I will definitely support you because you're running for a third vice president or vice chairperson of the Maryland of the of the Maryland State convention.
Yes.
Yes. And I think that's just awesome. I really do.
I don't know if I think it's awesome or not yet. It was not in my intention to do so after just finishing my city council race. It really was not my intention. But the gentleman that is currently the third vice chair has decided to seek other office, and he asked me if I would run to fill his seat. At first, he asked me that at the end of October, and when he asked me, I burst out laughing, and I said, well, that's really the best joke I've heard in a long time. And he said he wasn't joking, and I said, well, if you would at least do me the courtesy of not bringing this up again until sometime after the 12th of November, I'd really appreciate it. I could finish one race before we start talking about the next one. So he actually waited. Gave me till the end of that week and then said, so, the convention is coming up December 3rd, and if you're really going to do this, you have to get your nominations, your signatures together, your nominators together, and really get going. And I said, wow, you're really serious. And we had some guests over for Thanksgiving that are, some of them are part of the Baltimore City Central Committee, and them and my husband and I sat down and talked, and everybody said, and they said it was my fault because the food was really good. That yes, Ken, I actually cooked, and the food was really good. And they were lulled into this stupid place where they said they felt forced to encourage me to do it.
I am so very proud of you, and I am very supportive of you. Now, also because I don't want to run out of time without saying that, if we could get 70 conservatives around America, 70 great conservatives to send $10 or more for this campaign. I put the note in the chat room. Vote for Wright. Vote Wright for Maryland GOP third vice chairwoman, because you can't do this without a price, right?
Well, no.
No.
No. We're not planning on getting back into fundraising mode after having such an awesome time doing it for the whole past year. But yeah, it does take a little bit of coins to get this together. I mean, the convention is Saturday, and we're in that last 5-day blitz where yesterday I sent out an email to about 350 people, some of which actually responded, and I responded back to them each individually. Today, I've embarked on calling all 300 and change voting committee folks across the state. Tomorrow, we're doing a 2-hour live town hall where people can call in and ask questions. Thursday, a robocall and another email blast with a video that we made will be going out. Friday, we're actually greeting the voters at the hospitality suite at the convention. And then Saturday, they vote.
And there are no restrictions on donations, right?
No, there actually aren't.
Okay.
And I must admit it would be greatly appreciated after coming off of the last campaign. The coffers are, to say empty is an understatement.
And I want to make this clear to you all. The reason why Pelosi did what she did today to Clybourne is to pay the price for having someone like Shannon run in Baltimore and get as many votes as she did in Baltimore. In all seriousness, that's the truth.
It's funny. You said on your show that I had gotten the highest vote count of a Republican running citywide in Baltimore in over 20 years. And I said, oh, that's nice if he said that. And then he said, I wonder what the vote count numbers are. And I looked, and I stopped counting at 21. But it's true. The last person, the next highest vote getter of Republican in Baltimore City was in 1995.
Listen, Shannon, I want you to take 30 seconds, and I want you to go into the chat roll, because I want you to meet Professor Melanie Collette. I want you all to connect, okay?
Okay.
Because Melanie just made a comment, and Melanie, she's not making that comment for me. She's making it for you because you're a woman. But she said, okay, cool. I've been a campaign treasurer a couple of times, but only in New Jersey. I don't want to mess her up. You won't, Melanie. If you can help her over the next 24 hours, raise the monies that she needs to win. And can you tell everybody why it's important for you to be the third vice president in the Maryland GOP?
It's important for a lot of reasons. This race that I just finished and the candidates that I helped here in Baltimore City, we fought an uphill battle like none I have ever seen before. There is no history, there is no infrastructure, and the reason I'm running for third vice chair is to be under the radar enough to still have access to the resources I need to be able to direct to the places in Maryland that need it. If Maryland ever hopes to go from purple to red, we've got to move the needle in Baltimore City, we've got to move the needle in PG County, we've got to move the needle in Montgomery County. And if we don't do it, we're not going to get the results we want. I want 2016 to be the last time that there's a presidential election cycle where Baltimore is not, where Baltimore and Maryland is not looked at as in play, outplay, bellwether, battleground, any of those really cute phrases.
Exactly.
And we're none of them.
Exactly. So I want you and Melanie to hook up somehow, because I have great confidence in Melanie. She's an awesome individual, a great human being, and very productive in terms of what she can do. And you two match up, I can assure you. And as well, everyone who's in the chat roll, if you're able to, $10, if you could send it to the Vote Wright for Maryland GOP third vice chairwoman post. If you could do that, I greatly would appreciate it. Shannon would greatly appreciate it. We're going to take, I'm telling you, I am on a mission like you've never seen before. Ask Sean Lewis, Sackhead Sean. I am on a mission. We are going to win urban America. We're going to take it back as far as I believe in it, and I know it's going to happen. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't believe anything I've ever said today, if you didn't enjoy anything that I said today, I want you to be encouraged by the last thing I say to you this day. Listen, God bless America. It's time for America to bless God. And in tribute to all of the women that tuned in tonight, I want to play a song that measures a great deal of love. Right before you going over to Sackheads Radio in the Sackheads chat area, this is for you. I dedicate this song to you.
Well, I got a woman.
Love you. Have a good night.
Way over town. That's good to me. Oh, yeah.
Sackheads Radio tonight, 11 p.m. Be there. Love you, Shannon.
Good to me. Oh, yeah. She give me money when I'm in need. Yeah, she's a kind of friend indeed. I got a woman way over town that's good to me. Oh, yeah. She says I love it early in the morning just for me. Oh, yeah. She says I love it early in the morning just for me. Oh, yeah. She says I love it just for me. Oh, she loves me so tenderly. I got a woman